Good morning, everyone. Thank you again for joining us at the Competitive Advantage Talks presented by Kager, also known as the Craft Analytics Group. My name is Caroline McIlvery, and I'm an MBA student at MIT Sloan. It's my pleasure to introduce the presentation, Playing Offense with AI, How the Florida Panthers Stay Ahead of the Ticket Market, presented by SeatGeek. Please join me in welcoming our speaker, Michael Caceres, to the stage.
Thank you. Thank you very much for coming in. We got some SROs. We could have dynamically priced this also. Today we're going to be talking about AI and how we leverage AI to be able to maximize our revenue and essentially reprice the tickets. We understand that, yes, we play offense with AI. The defense wins championships. Offense makes revenue. Everyone likes the fun there. So we try to stay ahead of everything. We are trying to figure out the market predictive, not reactive. So half the time I talk to people, they say, all right, AI, like, what are you guys really doing with AI? Well, there's different types of AI that I want to be very clear about. The one that most people think about now is generative AI. When in reality, predictive AI, reactive AI, it's been around forever. When you look at your iPhone, autocorrect, it's AI. So the buzzword of AI, more generative, when predictive has been around a lot more. A pricing model is technically what we use to push into the AI to help the pricing. So I know what you're all thinking too. Yeah, we get it. They won the championship. Prices go up. Like, yes, it helps, but when I went to the Panthers in 2021, it was the post-COVID kind of rush where we kind of sat down, and a lot of sports teams, there's church and state. There's hockey ops and business ops. I work very closely with our hockey ops team as well. I do the schedule. I work with the bill to understand what's the plan. Like, are we going to be buyers? Are we going to be sellers? Like, when do you want to win? There's all different phases here that I need to understand to make sure our business strategy, when I'm with Matt Codwell, to say, okay, we're going to look at a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. Like, you can't be reactive to say, we won now, let's increase. You are behind. The traditional model, I see it a lot where it's, well, now what? Like, we made a trade. We won a game. We're going on a run where we build out scenarios for everything. We have a scenario for a first-round win. We have scenarios for a first-round exit. We have a scenario for a second-round win. All these play into the fact that push into our dynamic ticketing that we partner with SeatGeek on to say, okay, what does your model say? What does our model say? And here are the different aspects. Mind shift. This was a big one when I'm talking to our ticketing team, our partnership team. All sorts of, you bring up the, hey, we're giving the keys to a computer. It's a lot of scare tactics of, hey, we have 1,000 tickets we need to sell for game A. Well, historically, it's, let's sell them ASAP. Like, we don't want the revenue. Like, let's get the people in the building. It's ancillaries where we've taken the approach to understand what's the sell down, what's the expectation, what is the true revenue that that ticket is worth, and kind of building that out to say, we want only about 100 sold right away, and then the next day 50, and slowly bring that curve down. The fact that we're able to do that and control our market helps us maximize our dollar. And to be frank, at the Florida Panthers, when I came on, every dollar counts. To be able to do this too, we had to consolidate our secondary. We brought in a secondary partner, and one of the big things was we went full consignment. We have all the say on pricing. I speak with them probably every day, but we need to own the market so we can't get undercut, and eventually that hurts. Oops, Challenges in Florida. I showed up June of 2021, landed, and I go, whoa, it's hot here. Like, what am I going to learn by looking at this data? It's very black and white, but what are the intangibles? Why is there a spike in Thanksgiving? Why does it all of a sudden fall flat in March? Snowbirds. Like, oh, great. Location. My office looks over the Everglades. We're about half an hour outside of Fort Lauderdale, where we joke there's a helicopter pad out front that there's iguanas out there, there's alligators out there. So it's not easy to get to a game, and I'm not competing against the Heat. I'm not competing against the Dolphins. I'm competing against the beach, the nightlife, the restaurants, just the overall aspect of Florida. And the biggest intangible, on-ice performance. We had a good spike now that we have Captain America and Matthew Tkachuk, but of course, everyone was at the tip of their seat saying, I want to go watch him play. He got hurt. In hockey, it's very cliche to ask, well, who's playing tonight? Like, why is he hurt? What is he hurt with? So I can't go ask Bill, hey, I need some info to make sure I'm right on the pricing this and pricing that. So to be able to have the tools we have is the reason why we're able to kind of like maximize. And then the last one, which you'll kind of see up here, is hurricanes. We have hurricanes, and we got to play hockey. So this is the game that we were raising the banner. About 2 weeks out, prices are high, we're keeping static, we're very happy, the supply is moving, our demand is great. All of a sudden, here comes that square where there's a hurricane coming. No one knows, are we playing, are we not? Tickets come to a complete halt. The Tampa Bay Lightning admit, we are postponing our game. League calls us and says, your call. Luckily, the hurricane turned, but we have this excess supply now with 2 days left. But because we were prepared, we were able to not have the supply to just drop all the prices. So you can see, advance of the game, everything increased back up. So the AI-driven pricing strategy. This is the tools we are using to essentially be able to price while you sleep. It does everything you want for it. You're able to understand. And because I'm not the one doing it, it can be more predictive to understand, okay, what is my strategy? I can build out my strategy and teach it the strategy so I know there's certain parameters up that it's going to follow. But like all finance, the best thing we do as finance guys is an XY, which is essentially find the same answer twice, doing it 2 different ways. So that's one of the reasons why we had to partner with another model to say, because I'm not always right, I will admit that, I'm usually wrong, but we're able to partner with SeatGeek IQ to essentially take our internal data and their data, mix them together to essentially find the correct outcome. What's our real-time forecasting? What do they expect? What do we expect? I can essentially hand over the keys and the tickets and say, our models are working coherently to make sure we are maximizing every ticket that goes out. So here's an example of I have no way to price 250,000 tickets, but we have the tools that can. We have 87% of our secondary market share. I would say that's pretty healthy. There's a lot out there that, you're always going to have the consumers, you're going to have the brokers that get in behind the doors, but 87% is really healthy. We very rarely see tickets come in below market, and when they do, they go fast, so it's not hurting the overall value of the ticket. This is one I'm probably most proud of, our ATP, our average ticket price increase since 2021. Yes, we won the cup, but 113% in 4 years. League says about 40% higher than what it should be based on all the historicals. And that's because we're getting ahead of the pricing. We're not sitting back saying, well, We won. Now let's redo everything. We were ready. Like this was easy. It's plug and play. This is the engine that essentially has everything. It's the Ringside API. To me, it's the Ticket Data HQ. This is what we plug into through SeatGeek to understand everything from the bottom up. We have the event factors. We have the demand. We have the customer data. Listing data, very important. And the crown jewel, the transactional data. Venue capacity, sell-through rates, historical trends, number of listings available. That's very important to understand what is your supply, the current listing price, what's the market. A lot of times I feel like we get stuck looking in the mirror, like this is what my value is. Well, in reality, the value is what the market tells you. What's the quantity sold per transaction? We need to know, okay, this is the supply left. If this is the quantity that's being sold, there's an easy calculation to tell you, well, this is what, on a projected basis, what we need to be selling. Transaction date and time. And again, the most important, what is the ticket price, what's the face value, and what is the sale price? We need to be okay if tickets sell for less than the face value. There's times that happen, and if you can build out your supply correctly and sell the certain amount of supply early, you're able to increase the 5 days out instead of decrease in just you're chasing at that point. The model. So this is the fun one. Essentially, what we've built internally and also been complemented through our SeatGeek IQ partnership is a supply and demand economic AI model. It's essentially, its goal is to generate alpha. And from my private equity background, alpha is essentially, we set the benchmark. So for us, we set the benchmark on revenue. We say, okay, this is what is supposed to happen. And then we need to look back and says, well, how much higher are we bringing in? What is the top-notch revenue? That is how we're going to generate alpha, and that's the alpha number we look for. We're looking at market inefficiencies, the consumer listings. We need to get rid of those. We need to understand, okay, what tools can we give them also to be able to price the tickets smarter? So again, we're able to work with SeatGeek IQ that the consumer has the option to price their tickets with us. And so they're using our internal models where they might not be educated as we are to better price. It's a better experience for them because who wants to buy a $50 ticket and sell it for 10? Supply and demand indicators. There is a lot that goes into this. What is your supply? We have the equation there, and the demand. Unfortunately, in the NHL, we're not a star-driven league. So our demand indicators are day of the week, rivals, different opponents, but I could tell you McDavid is probably not a big pull. Arbitrage and exploiting, this one's a little different. This depends on your internal strategy. Are you willing to take on risk? If a ticket's out there for $16, are you willing to take that on and like reflip it? The data-driven trading, this, you'll see more of it on either next slide, this slide after, of all the factors that go into the decisions that are made that this model is putting the tickets out there or taking them back and repricing them. And then obviously risk. Our internal hypothesis is we want to move tickets about 3 weeks prior, but not in the quantity that should be a sellout. We want to hold back that inventory and essentially gauge up. So the people who are buying 3 weeks out, 2 weeks out, have that experience that I bought a $50 ticket that now 3 days out when the overall market usually crashes, they're looking at it like good timing. That same area is 65. Here's one of the charts that is imperative that essentially this is a sell down curve. What we're looking at here is essentially a game that we wanted to get ahead of. You can see the main line there. That is the projected sell down curve. That's our alpha, or that's our benchmark. Our alpha would be the blue line of like, where are we going to end up? How can we maximize? So right now, this model is telling us, all right, we might be selling a little too many tickets. Then we bring the price up, we watch where that line goes. If we follow that trend, we're in a great spot. Essentially, it's built with tickets priced, tickets listed, Tickets sold, supply replaced, rinse and repeat. One of the things that this saved my life with was a few years ago. I hope there's no Toronto people in here. So I told my girlfriend we go to Disney. I'm not getting out of Disney when I tell her that. So we win round one, going to round two. Unfortunately, when you play the Maple Leafs in round two, there's no data on that because they never make round two. So I was in a pretty big predicament as we're driving up there, and I'm on the phone with these guys saying, like, we know the demand's there. What's the highest price we can do? And it's more like, I can't be there, but is that trust I had to know, okay, yeah, just how many tickets do we want to sell up front? How many tickets do we want to hold back? It's like, all right, like, let's put this in the model. Let's build out the strategy. It knows what to do. As we drive up, tickets are getting sold, prices are going up. I don't have to do anything. Here's the slide I was mentioning earlier about everything we kind of look at. Page views. How many people are looking at our page? What is the transaction conversion rate? We like that around 2.5%. If it goes higher than 2.5, maybe our prices are too low. The model changes. If it's lower, all of a sudden, instantaneously, pricing will go down a bit. There's really nothing I have to do to understand and look at this. It's more daily, like, okay, it's right on track. And I take off the keys, go on, all good. Here's some lessons learned, some of the things that I think are coming in the future. How much can we incentivize the person coming to the game? How do we use this tool to essentially personalize your game day experience from the time you pull up to the parking lot, when you're in the arena? Like, how can we use AI, which is now the more generative side, to make that game day experience different than what one person has to the other? It's partnering with other AI providers. What is next? Like, there's infinite possibilities here. And then, like I mentioned, it's not just the revenue, it's the experience. Because the more you make a better experience, they're coming back. Premium seating, sponsorships, merchandise, fan engagement, everything. But the basis of everything is the data collection, the data processing, the model training, the strategy deployment, and I caution everybody, your strategy might not be the same as mine, and that's okay. We're a different team in Florida than the Chicago Blackhawks are. They have a national, we are really a local fan base. We're growing our fan base. And then the question is, how do you measure success when it comes to AI-driven ticketing? This is how we do it. Incremental revenue. We found that the $5 tickets out there, the $7 tickets, the ancillaries weren't there. So essentially, we're holding pricing higher. We're getting certain supply out there early to make sure that pricing holds strong, and our ancillaries went up 23%. Expected sell down. This is one I'm a little taboo for because everyone always tells me you should be 100% sold out. As a financial modeler, I don't believe that. 99.4 I'm very proud of. What that tells me is we're right in the wheelhouse of the correct price. If you are 100% 7 days prior, to me that just means you left money on the table. There's more demand, and you're not allowing to capture that, which maybe other fans are. Maybe other people are using your product to make money for them. And our owner does not like that. Increased ATP, went over this one, super proud of this one. There's a lot of baselines in every league, every team that you can kind of go for. League data helps me out a bunch with this, is when you do win the cup, what should happen? Well, this is where we are. We are significantly higher. It kind of shows like planning works. And then earlier purchasing habits, was just talking to some people who are like, oh, like the trend is people are buying walking into the arena now. We see the opposite. We're essentially capturing that fan that they're looking on SeatGeek.com to say, oh, the tickets are $50, and I'm guilty of this also. Just wait. They're going to go down. They're going to go down. And then the next day you look, $55, you're like, oh shit. Like, well, should I buy? Like, no, it'll go down. Next day, 61. All right, buy it. So we're essentially capturing that thought process that in 22, 23, we had dropped its day of to 3 days out 26%, which is amazing for us. And these numbers are all compounded. This is not like difference year over year. 15% 23, 24, in 24, 25, an additional 12%. So we're seeing great numbers. Our ATPs can't be higher. And I attribute it to a lot of giving the keys to a model that you do have to trust. It has to earn your trust. And for me, it was easy to, as the numbers were coming in, I was a little held back because I was the old school. Like, I can make the changes. Like, our data model tells me what the price is, and I need to validate it. But that's so reactive. We need to be predictive. I can't be in front of a computer at all times. And kind of giving the tools to this next generation of a SeatGeek IQ that is able to price on the seat level quicker than I can, at more detail than I can, that has secondary data, primary data, everything. Like, it's more than I could ever imagine, and it's helped us tremendously. That's it. Any questions?
Thank you, Michael. That was fabulous. So we have time for probably 1 or 2 questions. So any questions? Yes.
So in your presentation, I saw that you said that you guys use listings and listing price in your internal model or via SeatGeek IQ?
Both.
In both?
Yes.
So how do you use it in your internal models?
In regards to like what equations are we running off of it? We're essentially trying to set a market price based on the different variables that we've set up for our market to say, how many days out are we? What's the opponent? What's the day of the week? What's our supply? All right, here's our true market value. What's the expectation of the market moving forward? What are the scenarios that could happen to that market value? We treat it like a stock price. We need to understand what's available, what's not, and again, it's like, I could tell you the ticket's worth 100, but if the market's telling me it's 75, there's a lot of different things we have to change there, so.
And you guys are getting the listings and the listing prices, like, is it through like your connection in Ringside, like through your database?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, Ringside has all that for us, which has been a great game changer.
Thanks. Thank you.
All right, we have time for 1 more.
How do you manage your model after you've deployed it?
Mm-hmm.
And making sure that it is still accurate after?
So I would say about every homestand, we go back, and essentially that's where we have the benchmark, and we understand like what is the percent to alpha to say what did it perform with, and where did we expect it to. If we ever come up below the benchmark, we kind of go back, and we work closely with the IQ team to say, where did yours come in, where did ours come in, what did we miss here? We're never 100%. We're constantly changing. I would say the scenarios we put in, out of the 10 we put in, 8 of them are wrong. And that's where it's nice that the predictive is able to pick the best one out of the options that it sees out of all the data that would take me hours to go through.
Well, fantastic. Well, thank you so much. How about a round of applause?